Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of YF Dizzy TV. Today in the studio we have, an amazing guy, talented guy, and just, somebody who is always has a great expression about them. A small business owner, hopefully turning big soon. In studio we got Jose Yatusabes. What's going on, brother?
Man, thank you so much, first of all, for having me on your show today.
Yeah.
I'm doing good. I'm feeling good. There's a lot of positive, good things happening in my life, and so I'm ready to share that with everybody.
Yeah, man. So tell us, what made you want to open up your own studio?
Good question. So, a quick background on just talking about radio and how I even got into it was after high school. I had told my mom, "Hey, you know what?" She asked me, "What are you gonna do after high school?" I said, "Well, there's a American Broadcasting School that's off of 360 and Division in Arlington
Yeah.
by Six Flags." And I said, "You know, I'm gonna go sign up there." And she looked at me and she was like, "I don't think you're gonna find any job in radio around here, and you're probably not gonna make a lot of money." So
Yeah.
I kind of brushed that underneath the rug and went into college, and then never got into it. But it was always in the back of my mind. Fast forward, literally like 20 years later, I got invited to talk about marketing since that's my background,
Hmm.
and I got invited to go do a radio interview with a girl named Anita Marquez.
Hmm.
So I didn't know where I was going. I knew I was going to a radio studio, and it was called Fishbowl Radio Studio or Network at the time, I believe.
Hmm.
And so I went up there. It was my first time in a studio setting, and I seen where different people were doing different shows, and then I went in there and did mine,
Hmm.
and kind of just spoke about what I was doing, and then from there I fell in love with that.
Yeah.
It was something about the environment. It was something about being able to tell your story and for people to listen to you and know who you are and what you're doing. And then from there, I did it for 3 years with the studio where I put my time in, had different days of the week that I was doing my shows on. But I'm a big believer in doing something repetitively, consistently, so that way I can get better at it.
Hmm.
And so through that, the 3 years, last December, I made a decision. It was right around Christmas time. I'll never forget. It was like a week before Christmas. And I said, you know what? It's not going to hurt to go out and just start looking for a place um, to build my studio.
Hmm.
And so I literally started going to different locations that were renting their spaces out. And I found one that I liked. And then I signed everything on January of this year, and then I officially launched March 7th. So that's kind of when my grand opening was, and I just celebrated my 6 month anniversary there, and everything's been popping.
Man, it looks incredible.
Thank you.
And you got a great view. You got the purple building outside.
Yes, nice hotel.
I don't know what that is. I might be like an antique shop or something, but
We don't
it
know.
looks nice.
Yeah,
But
I haven't been in there yet.
yeah. Nah, but I wanted to ask. So I know with being a business owner, you have some ups and downs. What are some positives that you've gotten, like unexpected positives that you didn't realize was gonna be as being your own, owner of your own business?
That's a very good question, and I think some of the positives really for me are the amount of help that is needed, especially in small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because the positiveness is knowing that I have over 16 years of experience in marketing and building companies up to $1 million businesses, that I'm able to help a smaller business get to the point of where they want to do it. And there's different ways of doing it. So for me, it's the the thing that's been shocking and not shocking at the same time is that people trust me with their business and helping them grow.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they see it through social media. They see it through, actions. Just like any personal or business relationship, actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
And so when they see what I'm doing with other companies and how they're growing and how the referrals are coming in, I think that really helps them. And I think that's a lot of the positiveness is, people seeing a return on their investment. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's really big.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with what you were saying earlier, consistency. Because that's one of what one of my mentors told me is, your strength of the brand, it comes from consistency, meaning, how often you do it and how long you've been doing it, which is time. So if you add those two equals how strong your brand is.
Right.
And you already been doing it consistently for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
So people see it and they're like, damn, he's still going.
Yeah, exactly.
And growing.
Exactly.
At that. It's not like you just been in the same
Right.
spot, just not moving up or even losing. Is
Correct.
He's growing, and they see all the businesses where you go and what you do, and
Yeah.
I think people kind of pay attention to that, even though they don't say anything.
Correct. They don't say anything, but they see it.
Yeah.
And they're forced to see it because I'm going to put it out there. And, my whole thing is that, I'm one of those people, and this is another conversation for another day, but, have you ever heard, David, where people will say, when you do good deeds, you don't need to post them on social media. Have you ever heard that before?
Yeah.
My belief is the opposite. I believe you should show it off because I think it's important for us to lead by example and to show that other people are doing good things in life.
Yeah.
And I don't do it for a pat on the back. That my mentality is I want to do it to hopefully spread awareness to everyone else to continue to do what we're doing to help people. And I'll give you another example. Have you ever heard of somebody pulling up to Starbucks and then they tell you, hey, it's already been paid for?
Yeah.
So how's that make you feel?
Makes you feel good.
Exactly. And then, a lot of people naturally go on Facebook or social or Instagram, be like, man, shout out to the car in front of me, who paid for my breakfast this morning.
Yeah.
But the return on everything is they do that because it's meant for you to pay it forward.
Yeah, that was a powerful
Would you
movie.
agree with that?
Yeah, that was a powerful movie for me when I was younger. When I watched it, I was like, damn. And that's kind of how I like to live my life. And that's something I will say about you that, that actually admire about you is you're very willing to collaborate with people, whether they're big or small. You're willing to, give out your platform or go out and support an event. And it's like, we need more people like that because more people just like to live on their own island and not necessarily support others because they see it as competition.
Absolutely. And people get comfortable. The thing about a lot of folks is they're afraid to come out of their circle. They're afraid to come out of the box. They're afraid to, maybe try something new. I think we're programmed almost not to be risk takers. And I'm the opposite. I'm the person that I'm not afraid to fail. And fail for me is an acronym that stands for first attempt in learning. So it's my ways of, learning new things as I'm going. And I never say that anything is ever a loss, but everything is a lesson. So again, it's when you change your vocabulary and how you approach things and how you look at things in the world, it's your mentality and everything in your outlook in life becomes better. So, when sometimes people will say, man, I'm just having a bad week. I'm just, everything's happening. I'm the person that looks at it as like, you know what, bring on the trials, bring on the tribulations. Let me just conquer them because they're lessons and they're ways of making me smarter. And so that I don't make those same mistakes and bad decisions moving forward.
That's what people don't realize is the stuff that you go through and the trials and tribulations that you have to face is what makes you stronger as a person.
Absolutely.
Like there's certain things that would freak people out. Like this is too much. I can't handle it. But since I've had like such a rough upbringing and I've had to deal with so much real stuff from a young age, when I get to, I'm like, this is pretty easy to me. It's not really stressing me out. Like,
exactly.
And that's what comes, whether it's a business owner, whether it's a relationship, the more that you have to go through things, the more that you'll learn and actually become better. And that's, though, if you actually like take it that way.
Correct.
Because some people, they have a mindset where they just let it pile on and they're like, oh, poor me. This is happening again.
Yeah. They have what's called a victim mentality.
Yeah.
And you become very weak-minded because the old saying goes, if you put bad things in, bad things come out. But if you put good things in, good things will come out.
Of course. Yeah. And I don't know if you noticed it, but when at like my regular jobs, there'd be dudes who'd be like, man, I hate, I don't want to be here today, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And they say that every day. And I'm like, bro, then leave. Like
you don't have to be here.
Yeah.
No one's forcing you to do this job.
You get paid to do this job. And yes, of course, they got to eat and blah, blah, blah. But if you really hate it that bad, you would find a way to like not do it anymore.
Right.
And That's
Yeah.
that's more of just like all the mindset. But speaking of, what are some negatives that come as like being an owner on your own?
You know, some of the negatives, and I hate to use the word negative, but some things that are challenges
Mm-hmm.
is not having a consistent income
Mm.
and not knowing when and where that income is going to come in. But I've learned through those challenges that it is important to plant seeds everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be able to diversify yourself, and you have to be able to learn how to start creating multiple sources of income.
Mm.
And I think if you do that, it gets a little bit easier because you're not putting all your eggs into one basket. And it's the reason why your coworkers complain about not wanting to go to work every day, because they know that that the employer has leverage over that person,
Mm-hmm.
because that's all that they have.
Yeah.
And when you put yourself in a position to go all in with just one thing, the minute that fails, you're shitting bricks and you don't know what to do anymore.
And not even that, they go all in a thing that they don't even enjoy or
Correct.
let alone love, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you're doing something every day and you go home, and I know people like this, like they'll go to work, they hate their job,
Yeah.
and then they'll go home and just doom scroll on social media
Yeah.
all day. They don't produce no content, they don't do any, like me, I don't know if people know this, but I'll go absent from social medias at the time.
You will.
Like if I don't have to be
I have
there,
to text you and check up on you and see if you're still out there.
yeah, if I don't have to be there, I won't be there.
Yeah.
Hold on, what's that?
My phone.
Oh,
You're fine. Yeah.
I was like, what is
What's
that?
that noise coming from?
Yeah,
The
nah.
washer.
Yeah, the washer. Nah, but that'd be cut out. But I'll be like, bro, I don't like that. You know, some of y'all just use it for nonsense. I like to post like stuff that I feel that matters, even though if you might not agree with it,
Just, yeah.
just at least take a look at it,
Acknowledge it.
acknowledge it.
Mhm.
So that's why I will take breaks, because I feel like sometimes you can't. Even the smartest people could spend hours just scrolling.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think that's beneficial to life. There's books, there's puzzles you could do, there's
Yeah.
walks you could take, and that's one difference that I've noticed. Like sometimes I'll just drive with my phone down, no music, no nothing, and I'll just be like, damn, I'm really missing all this beautifulness out here that because I'm just looking down all the time.
That's right.
And that's a big problem we have. But man, speaking of seeds, you say you were planting seeds.
Yes.
Now your seed has its own seed.
Yes.
How do you feel about that? Is that a big change for your life now that you've, reached a new phase of life?
Absolutely. And a couple things why you ask about that is, I believe that I could have been where I'm at now, and I could have been at the point where I'm at now 10 to 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But it was lack of surrounding myself with the right people. It was lack of having mentors or understanding what a mentor
Yeah.
would do and how they can help you.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, again, lack of education, lack of many things that would push me to be an entrepreneur and to be able to do the things that I'm doing. But they've all come together now. I believe that God lets certain things happen in your life,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just what I call, it's not the right season for you to be in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
But when the situation and the time arises, you got to be ready.
Mm-hmm.
When that door opens, you got to be ready to do it. And whatever you put into it is what you're going to get out of it.
Yeah, because, God does put perfect timing for you, but it's really up to you to see if you're going to seize that opportunity.
Correct.
Because he's
And-
not just going to keep giving you chances if you're
Correct,
not going
correct.
and grabbing them,
Yeah.
So,
And you just like a flower, you got to water it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to water it. You got to give it sunlight, and you got to take care of it, and you got to baby it, and you got to watch it grow and try new things.
And sometimes he'll even put opportunities in your spot that look like opportunities, but it's kind of just to teach you a lesson. Like, when I was doing real estate, I loved it. I was making great money, most money I've ever made in my life. But it was kind of like, so you see now that money isn't everything. You've got more money now, more than you've ever had, but your life didn't change at all. What has to change is how you interact with the people you love.
Correct.
The way that you spend your time when you're not making money.
Yeah.
Those are the things that make the real difference.
Yes. No, absolutely. And it's being an entrepreneur makes you and into being very frugal with your money.
Yeah.
Um, my mom teases me. She's like, you know what? You recently lost a little weight. You know, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm doing good. I'm like, but just the meals have cut down.
Yep.
And I say that, David, and I'm gonna tell you something I firmly believe in. I don't believe in going out and eating a high-end steak or a steakhouse
Yeah.
if it doesn't deserve a reward.
Mm-hmm.
So if I haven't put in the fruit of the labor and went out there and have something to, congratulate myself for, then I don't need to be eating a steak.
Yep.
You
That's
know,
true.
so I'm really big now of like, you let me treat myself, but let me reward myself if I had a good week or if I closed a deal or if I'm working on a couple of projects, then I can eat good. I don't believe in eating good when I'm over here struggling to pay the bills and just to make ends meet. And my kids don't have what they have, but selfishly, I'm over here eating a $100 steak.
Man.
Does that make sense?
And
a lot of people live like that.
A lot of people live like that, man. A lot. And it's
so they'll say, I don't have any money for lunch all week, but you just spent $150 on drinks and hanging out with your friends Friday night when that money could have been.
Yeah. And that's that mindset that people get stuck into.
Yes.
It's like, oh man, I work hard all week. I deserve to set myself back, spending this money I don't even have to spend.
Right.
And that's one thing I'll say, because outside of college, because yes, I used to go to the club in college and they didn't have no sections. But anytime I've been to the club out here, and I'm not bragging, it just happened this way. I happen to just be in a section. So I happen to have the best experience you could have at a club. And after a handful of times, I'm like, yo, this is not it. It's the same thing every time. It's the same songs. You really see the same people.
Yep.
It's like, yes, it's fun if you do it once or twice.
Correct.
But once you start doing it every weekend, it's like, bro,
He gets burned out.
yeah, what am I doing? Just giving myself a headache the next day, wasting hundreds of dollars. Especially if you're buying like bottles at sections. Like, why? Yeah. Why am I wasting this money just so they could bring sparklers in a bottle I could have bought 80% cheaper at the store?
And somebody on Facebook recently put on there, they go, if I was to deposit $2,000 into your Cash App, what would you do with that money? And I started reading the comments, and everyone was like, I'd give me a new car, I'd pay bills, I'd take a vacation, I'd do this, I'd do that. Not one person said I would invest into a business. And again, that shows me their mentality. Yeah. And if somebody gives me $2,000, I want to flip that $2,000.
Yeah, you gotta have to try to find a way,
So my mentality goes into, how can I reproduce this, and what can I invest in to reinvest in? And I think that's one thing, David, that's really helped me, is my mindset of of reinvesting into myself and reinvesting into the studio and reinvesting into people. Yeah. And I think when you reinvest, it pays off, man. Yeah. Instead of just wasting it. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Because you could go down the road where, hey, I just made, this hundreds of thousands of dollars. Let me go spend it. Let me go buy this car. Let me go this.
It's very easy to do that.
Or if you reinvest all that money back into your business that you've made, it's easier to 10x your quality, 10x your guests that you're bringing in,
Exactly.
And just improve everything of your business by putting all the money back into. That's the strategy that I've learned most about from Mr. Beast. Do you know Mr. Beast?
I don't.
So Mr. Beast is a YouTuber who makes those videos giving away Lamborghinis.
Okay,
and
I've heard of him. Yes.
Yeah. So with Mr. Beast, all the money that he makes off of the YouTube video, he puts it into the next video. So if he makes $1 million from this video, in the next video, he's going to give away $1 million.
Right. He's not keeping it.
No.
He's re-putting it back into his brand and back into the next video to make it bigger and better. And you hit it right on the dot. That's who I am. I'm about evolving. Mm-hmm. I'm about being one step further ahead than the next podcaster or the next guy that's trying to open up his next studio right behind me. Yeah. Because that's how I work, and that's how I think, is what kind of creative content can I put out there? And guess what? If I can't come up with it, I outsource and I reach out to individuals who are creative in their own field and again, invest in them. Yeah. So reinvest in myself. So when the product comes out, the brand is myself. They don't see who put it together. They just see the logo and everything goes along with it. But I want to be known as somebody who's a creator and trying new things. You know, you got to put new stuff out there.
And you can't be scared to go find somebody who is doing what you want to do and say like, hey man, how'd you get to where you're at?
Absolutely.
I'm starting at square one, you're at square 100.
Yep.
I'm trying to figure out like, what are some shortcuts that I could take? Obviously not cutting corners.
Correct.
But like, what are some things that you had to learn and, that I could skip over and not learn, have to go through those lessons to kind of, speed up my thing.
Right.
And that's the whole thing about mentors. That's the whole thing about having a group of people around you who kind of like make you want to elevate. You know what I mean?
And want you to succeed and succeed faster, not be in my shoes and having to wait 10, 15 years later. Because there was a lot of opportunities and times where I know I came across certain individuals that I was like, I want to be like you. I want to do what you're doing. And guess what? They never shared their information with me.
Yeah.
They were selfish. They were greedy. They were everything. And I will say now, I don't know where those people are today. I know they're not where they were at maybe financially at that certain point, but I know that they're not where they're at or where they wanted to be. And I think it falls back into not sharing their experiences and not allowing other people to be a part of that growth.
Yeah, I'm down for anybody who's down just to collaborate or share experiences, because that's one thing. I'm cool with like just meeting people, and if you're cool, you're cool.
Yeah.
And that's happened a lot to me. Like I'll meet people through other people, and the mutual friend that we both knew ends up dropping off, but the new connection I made, is stronger. And I'm like, bro,
that relationship ends up being strong.
And I'm like, bro, how does this happen? And it's because I like to just come into things as just like a genuine person interested in what you're doing. And that's how I ended up in this new music video, Fever by Ziggy.
Nice.
I'm a priest up in there, so y'all go check it out. But it's just,
shout out to Ziggy, man. He's doing some really big things out there.
Yeah.
Really in the music industry, and he's been very consistent as well. And one thing that I like about Ziggy, just a quick plug for him, is that he puts quality content and he puts a lot of time and effort into the storyline of the music video, so you know exactly what you're getting. Angles are good, everything is just really good content that's out there.
Yeah, and it shows, he spends time on it, he plans it out. So shout out to the people that's like that. Hold on, give me a second. We'll cut out the little extras. Oh, but switching gears.
Okay.
Did you happen to see the Logan Paul Dylan Dennis situation?
I didn't see it, and if you can give me a little bit of the background on that.
Okay, so Logan Paul and Dylan Dennis, they're gonna fight in October sometime.
Correct.
It's a boxing match, but since they announced the fight, Dylan has been promoting it, and the way he promotes it is he's been posting pictures of Logan's now fiance with other dudes of her past. Not some are Photoshop because they're just funny, but most of them are actual pictures of his fiance with Leonardo DiCaprio, with this guy, with that guy, with her talking about that she wants meat and just different wild things. And I think honestly, this could be a learning lesson for guys and girls. For guys, now no matter if you're $100 million guy with all the press in the world, other people around you are going to look down upon you if they see that you're with, a woman who was kind of got around at a young age. And there's, proof out there. And it's not because of insecurity or blah, blah, blah. It's not a good look.
Right.
And no time in history has anybody ever been like, oh, I want a girl who gets around.
Right.
And the same thing for women. Your choices of what you do in your young age and the people who you date and the photos you take and the videos you put out, the TikToks, they're going to follow you into old age. And this especially goes for them OF girls. Like, get your money.
Yeah.
But at some point, your kid's probably going to get bullied. Like, there's already reports that kids with OF moms, they're suicidal because kids will, like, show them pictures of their mom and be like, look, this is your mom.
Wow.
Because you remember how awful kids are in, like, elementary and junior high.
Middle school, yeah.
They're awful. And now they're doing it to, like, a fifth grader, like, hey, this is your mom.
Yeah.
Look at this.
I've heard of that. Yeah, it's bad. We live in a society that once you post something, it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
And I'm an 80s baby, so the good thing about me, everything that happened in my 20s, which is the 90s and 2000s, was no cell phones and stuff. So there's nothing to to pull up from back in the day. But
Yeah.
anything after that, it's out there. But it's it's interesting to see. Excuse me. It's interesting to see that him take that approach with it.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see if it motivates Logan Paul.
Yeah. So they had the face to face, and Logan was like, "My baby's an angel."
Yeah.
You could see like the anger in his eye. He like that, and also it got so bad that the girl, her name is Nina, she put a lawsuit out on Dylan and a restraining order.
Oh Lord!
And it's like, man,
for what? The defamation of character, or just
basically is what she's
okay.
saying.
Yeah.
But these are pictures that are available to the world.
Yeah.
So he's just posting what's what's already there.
What you can do.
Just Google it. There she goes.
Yeah.
And it's honestly been with like 100+ guys that she's like in the pictures.
What's
with.
her name?
Nina something.
Okay. All
So.
right. But it's his current girlfriend.
Yeah, his current girlfriend, fiance.
Yeah. Oh, so he's engaged.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to understand a lot of people have been in broken relationships.
Yeah.
But until you've gone through a broken relationship, until you've healed, until you've practiced self-affirmation, self-love, and self-care, the new relationships you run into and try to form, the minute something goes wrong or doesn't feel right, you know what it looks like and you know how to divert from it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I'm at. People say, man, he's single. He's out here talking to all these girls and probably sleeping with all of them. And that's not the case. A lot of times I'll start a relationship and they may last a little over a year, but it's because I saw signs of things that I didn't see that was worth staying with that person long term. And so you cut ties. When you don't have obligations as far as ties that keep you together, you don't have kids, you're not married, you were just simply dating, you have the right as a person to say, I don't want to continue this relationship, and you don't need a reason why to give them, and you just move on.
And that's one thing I will say. It's like one of the positives of actually being in one is I see how awful it is out there right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I see
the dating scene is horrible right now.
Yeah. On both sides.
Correct. Yeah.
You got one side that's like, independent. I'm going to do my own thing. You can't tell me shit, blah, blah, blah. And that's not conducive for a healthy relationship at any point. At
it's
one
almost
point,
standoffish right off the bat.
Yeah, right off the bat. You ain't going to tell me shit like, yo, I can't tell you not to go butt naked to the club because we're together.
Right. Like, I don't
let alone be at the club drunk by yourself. And then guys that kind of become a little bit more sensitive, but also I feel like they're starting to put up with less because in divorce and marriages for the longest, that's why women initiate most of the divorce is because when they're unhappy, they're going to dip.
Yeah.
But when a guy's unhappy, he's just going to trudge through until he reaches a point where he's like,
of no return.
Yeah, no return.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, what is some advice that you have for somebody just, starting their, what are 5 things you would tell somebody just starting a brand, brand new, whether it's a podcast, whether it's an artist or, a business? What would be some tips that you could give them so they could start growing?
Invest in quality logos first and foremost. And so anything that you're going to put out there that's a representation of you, make sure that it's high quality. So if you're going to invest in a logo, invest in a creator that's, gonna create you something to where it's good content for you to put out there. On just to piggyback on that, once you have the logo, do not change your logo. At least for a year or two. I would say 2 years. Do not change your logo. Keep it the way it is, because what you're trying to build is repetition between you and your logo, so it becomes one. So when they think of Jose podcast, Yatusabes Studio, I mean, they think of, when they hear Yatusabes Studio, they hear Jose, they know that goes together. Another thing that I would say is to do research on the type of business that you're trying to get into. I think a lot of people, they see opportunities through maybe their own employer. And I'll give you an example. Let's say somebody works at a candle maker, and they're like, you know what, I've been doing this for 10 years. I can do my own thing. Okay, that's great. But have you really done research into what it takes to create the product, put out the product, and everything like that? And I'll use another example with that. I know a guy who sells michelada mix. So he went to different gas stations and businesses trying to sell his michelada mix, so that way they could store it and they could sell it and they could make a profit off it as well. So he starts closing deals, and then the food people, what do you call them? The food inspectors?
The USDA.
Yeah, so the inspectors come in one day to one of the shops that he sold his michelada mix to, and they told him to remove it from the store. They couldn't sell it. And so the owner's like, well, why? I just bought 10 cases from this guy. Like, I need to put it out there. He goes, you have nothing saying on the product of what the ingredients are and everything like that, and you have to have it properly packaged.
Yeah.
So that tells me that person did not properly do research to find out what they can and can't do with their product. And so, talking to other maybe another one is talk to other individuals in that field. When I was with Fishbowl Radio Network, not only did I just go in there and record my shows, I was very observant of what was going on around me. What kind of difficulties was she having as a business owner that she was experiencing? What was the goods and the bads and everything that you see when you're around a business owner? What are they experiencing? I think shadowing somebody or even being an intern in the field that you want to be in is very, very important. See what the day-to-day looks like, because you may want to get into that field, but when you see the headaches of the emotional stress sometimes that goes along with it, that may not be the right field for you, because you may not be emotionally strong at the time of your point of your life to handle those kind of situations. Another thing that I would, recommend some advice is to learn to become a problem solver. You're going to run into every kind of situation. And before you maybe start asking for help or whatever it may be, start looking into how you can fix it yourself. Just become a problem solver. Another thing that I think that's helped me is to be involved in the community. I think ultimately that's the biggest thing that I think I've done to create trust in my community. And it's one thing to give somebody a business card and say, hey, support my business. Well, that's great and all, but why don't I ever see you at any pop-up supporting? Why don't I ever see you at any of these pop-ups of you even putting out your business and promoting your business? So I think being in the community, I always call myself a politician. I kiss babies and hug people and shake hands, and that's what politicians do. But you got to do it on a consistent, again, level of being out there so people know a name with the face. So when they see me, they know that guy has his own podcast. He does his own studio and so forth. And then really just, working with other creatives. I think that's really what's helped me stand out from other people. Networking is the biggest thing too. I think that's my fifth and final thing is being able to network with other people, and sharing ideas, cross-marketing with them, finding ways that you can help each other, not only financially, but also on social media, as well. So while you're sharing their product, they're sharing yours, and each one of us have different audiences and different friends and family members. So it becomes something that helps all of us all at the same time.
And really, that's one thing that's where you'll find most of the genuine people too, because they out here trying to do what you do. Yes, you'll find some people who's out here just trying to do it just so they could get your audience, or
Yeah.
just so they could get some exposure. But there's actually people who's very genuine, and the way you get them to be genuine is just be genuine back.
Be authentic. You always say be authentic. Be who you are. Do not try to be someone you're not. Real, recognize real. For me, I put a lot of what I do business wise, but I know a lot of people don't like to put their kids on there, but my kids are older, so I feel a little safer with them and being able to communicate with me should something go wrong. But I'm a family guy. I have my kids that I'm responsible for raising, and I want them to see me not only as a business owner, but I want them to see me as a dad. That's important for me. I want them to know that when you support local business owners, you're not just supporting their business, you're supporting the livelihood of the kids and everyone that goes around it. And I think that's one thing that we should always remember, is that money necessarily isn't going to the owner. It's going to baby girls' band practices, or it's going to karate, it's going to fix the car, it's going to everything else, maybe but the owner. And that's why it's important to definitely support, each other.
And how do you feel about, because I feel like I struggle with this sometimes myself, as a business owner, somebody trying to put out content and things like that. How do you manage to balance family and business and just that whole side of life?
I'm going to be real transparent with you. I haven't found that balance. And that's just me being honest.
Yeah.
And I say that because my daughter and my granddaughter live with me. My son, I get him pretty much every single weekend. And the great thing about that, him now, is that he goes to school 4 days a week. So I'm able to pick him up on Thursday afternoons and keep him till Sunday and so forth. But for me, it's the little things as a dad. And I say that as in, I realized we hadn't had dinner together, us 3 or 4 now. So it's the little things, as far as like, I'm not married, so I don't have like my wife where we can have dinner and have all of us sit at the table and have fellowship that way. So again, you got to create opportunities where you go out and have dinner, with your family, have breakfast with them, have dinner with them. So it's a hard balance, especially the industry that I'm in. It requires us so much time, and I've maybe lost out on some really good opportunities as far as relationship goes, because the first thing they said is, you're too busy. Which to me, sometimes that would be a good thing, because I would hate to be with a person who's not busy, who's lazy, and who's just, they see their life as an 8 to 5 job and stuff like that. So,
and then the rest of the day doesn't even count.
It doesn't even count. You're just wasting the time, like Oprah and Mark Cuban always said, like, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, but again, it goes back to having an entrepreneur mentality of 2 things. It's something we talked about in the very, very beginning of our conversations. Was, I don't look at Friday as a time to go out. I look at Friday and Saturday almost a time to like relax, because I've put so much work into during the week. But I also look at the weekend as more opportunities. So if somebody wants to collab and have a meeting at the studio Sunday morning, I'm there. So I think we're just programmed, David, to think that we need to work 8 to 5, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you're doing, hey, kudos to you if it's working. But there's some of us who want more in life, and there's some of us who are just very content and comfortable. And I've never been that person. And it was crazy, because I grew up in a household where my mother was very comfortable, very content, and was okay making what she was making hourly and just paying bills. I just believe there's more to life.
There's a difference, though, if you're actually content with it and you're enjoying, like, once you get off,
if you're enjoying
you spend time with your family, and you sit with them and you eat with them, and that is okay to me. But if you're working at a job you hate, and then you come home and you doom scroll and don't do anything else,
and you bring that negative energy even to back home. I think that's the topic for another relationship show. But I think a lot of us bring problems to work that we have at home, and then vice versa. I was in a relationship one time where she bitched at me every day, not at me, but at me regarding her job that she hated so much. And
Yeah.
I finally had to tell that person, please leave that at work. And she was like, well, I need somebody to vent to.
And I think that's more of a lady thing. They need to vent.
They need to vent.
And the thing that I've done is I'll listen up to a certain point, but once I hear the story get repetitive.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, you already said this. We're done with that topic. We can talk about something else.
And I think that's what it was for me. It was very redundant of going back and talking about the same thing. I'm like, well, how many times and how long are you going to deal with this?
Yeah.
So at this point, we know what the problem is. We know you don't like it. So what are you going to do about it?
Yeah. But they don't like that, though. They just want to hear somebody listen. So that's why I just listen first.
Yeah.
And I'm very good at listening. So if you repeat something, I'm going to remember, hey, you said this yesterday or 3 days ago or,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. That's
but
good.
Yeah, but back to the time thing. Like Kobe Bryant's trainer, he wrote this book named Relentless.
Okay.
And he was saying on there, like, I forget, one of his players was complaining, like, man, I feel like I'm not spending enough time with my family. I feel like, you know, this, and that. And the trainer was like, hey, man, you can, you know, stop doing all this extra work and go spend time with your family. But what's that going to do? You're going to be a loser and just be spending time with your family. And this mainly applies to guys.
Correct.
Because we like to go out and get it.
Yeah.
Or do you want to be the world champion? And then once you get that trophy, you can spend time with your family when you actually deserve it, you know?
No, absolutely. And you reminded me of I was in the car business in my early 20s, and we used to work what was called bell to bell. So we'd get there at 8:30 in the morning and work till 10 o'clock at night, and not see our families and not be, doing things with them. And that was 6 days a week. But they always told us, and I never forget this, they would say, if you work for 6 days a week and you work 12-hour shifts and you're selling cars, wouldn't you want to come on a Saturday, be with your family, but financially be able to take them and do whatever you want to? Mm-hmm. And the answer was yes. You know what? I wouldn't mind busting my tail 6 days a week if I knew every Sunday I'd be able to go take them and do whatever they want where money wasn't an issue.
Mm-hmm. But not only even that, I feel like I'm the happiest personally whenever I'm kind of burning the candle at both ends.
Yeah.
Like I wake up early, I go work out, and then once I get done working out, I'll read. Then I'll go to work, and once I get off work, I'll work on this project. And then once I get done with that project, I do a little bit more. And then finally, it'll be like 10 p.m. and I'll eat and get ready to bed. And it'll be like, damn, that was a wonderful day. I kind of just did
productive,
a whole lot of stuff, and I just feel you can go to sleep content, you know?
Yeah, and comfortable. I agree with that, and you know, it's important to balance it all out. I think at the end of the day, I'm also trying to be a good role model to my kids and really show them that they don't have to personally work an 8 to 5 if they don't want to. They can be an entrepreneur. And then the best part about being an entrepreneur, though, is having that flexibility to wake up when I want to, be with them or pick them up or go to an event and do what I need to. And that's what's important to me. So I do what I do for them, and the fact of if my son has a game, if my son has a PTA meeting, whatever it may be, I have the flexibility and don't have to ask someone to go see my kids or spend time with them. Yeah.
Man, I guess it's just about living the life that you want to live.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be big, big things. Like, for example, the way we're changing some things in our life is because we want to, like, we're already doing a good job now, but we want to structure it to where the main focus is our kids, because they're homeschooled.
Yeah.
Even though my son's only 4, but he's already, counting, adding, and reading a little bit. He's starting to read words together, and they don't even learn that till first grade.
Correct.
My 2-year-old counts up to 13 at least. Nice. So, you know what I'm saying? And
baby steps. Yeah,
baby steps and just staying consistent.
Yeah.
Trying to put them ahead of the curve instead of being behind.
Correct.
And on top of that, they're still going to go to Sunday school so they can have like that classroom environment and sports too. So, it's just to balance all things and really structuring the life that you want. Don't listen to anybody else that you have to do this, you have to do that. No, just find something that you want to do and just stick to it. Something that you're good at.
Have you ever heard of the people who say the government set up a school system to almost make you feel like you're in jail?
Mm-hmm. And I've seen that the way the cafeteria is, the way that you stand in line,
they're related to being in jail.
Yep.
And they're all in cells.
Mm-hmm.
for 8
all
hours a
day,
day.
which is not even natural. You're not supposed to be in one room for 8 hours a day. Just
Listening to a person talk.
yeah, and some of that stuff that they're saying, especially now, some of that stuff is insane. That they're saying boys can be girls, girls could be boys, and that's the main reason why we,
Good for y'all. Yeah.
we wanted to do that, because we were gonna enroll them in the school down the street because it's a very nice school.
Yeah.
But I was driving by in the summer and I could see, like, don't get me wrong, I love my pride, my LGB people, and I've never had a personal problem with anybody. But just to have that in the classroom, up in the window, it's kind of like, yo, people get offended when they see American flags now.
Yeah.
The social media itself, certain algorithms, they target you if they see they have an American flag. This is what one of the presidential candidates said, Vivek. He's the Indian dude. If you have an American flag up in your name or bio, you're kind of like labeled as like a terrorist a little bit, and your speech gets suppressed. And it's not nobody doing it. They've trained the AI, that algorithm, to do that.
Yeah, to pick up on those little.
Where if you have a Ukraine flag and a LGB flag, it's like, oh, we promote you. But if you have an American flag, get out the way. Like that's just the type of world we're living in now.
Yeah.
And that's because people sit on their hands. They're like, well, we got to be inclusive.
That's right. Yeah.
But
good topics.
That's another topic for another day. But anything you want to say to the people before you go?
No, I just want to say, follow your dreams. Go out there and be a risk taker. Don't be afraid again to fail. And network, meet people. Do everything with passion. And I promise good things will happen. You're gonna have good times. You're gonna have bad times, and especially in the beginning. I recently heard from one of my mentors that said, when you open a business, don't go into starting a business with trying to profit or make money the very first year or first years. Just maintain it, and I think that's my mentality of, I'm not trying to get rich right now. I'm just trying to sustain and show sustainability, which in return creates consistency. And then it'll get naturally to the point where I need it and want it to be. But again, don't do nothing with the intent of how much money can I make today. Go out there, give it all you got, meet as many people as you can, and the opportunities will definitely fall in your lap.
Yeah.
But thank you for having me out here.
I appreciate you coming.
Yes.
And hey, this is episode 2. Check them out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and check me out, YF Dizzy, anywhere. You could Google it and just go from there. Peace.